What is going on, team? Now, the idea that we need to regularly change our gym program to shock our body and keep it on its toes is as old as time, right? But what the hell does it all actually mean? Well, that's exactly what we're about to go into now in a video that has already been filmed, that has already been edited, that we're about to fade into. However, this is just a special introductory message from me to say that when we were filming that content, we had an absolute flipping nightmare with the audio, so please bear with us. I genuinely believe there's a lot of value to be had over the next kind of 10 to 12 minutes, and just please, I am begging you, bear with us for the rubbish sound. It will not happen again.
How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Jim Galvin, and on this channel we cover all things training, nutrition, biohacking and ancestral living to help you guys work out what you need to do based on your individual biology to help improve your performance, your health and your physique. And today I want to take a deep dive into whether or not we do need to change our program regularly, how often that would be, or whether or not we don't need to do it, and it's all just a load of nonsense. Okay, so first let's look at whether or not there is any truth in this concept at all. In short, yes there is. So there does exist this principle in the world of strength and conditioning called the Law of Accommodation. According to my good friend Google, it says this. The Law of Accommodation says that we need to use a different stimulus on a regular basis to achieve results. This means using the same workout routine day in and day out will eventually not produce new results. Or results will dramatically decrease, or in the worst case, you may backslide. Okay, so this gives us a little bit of grounding in the fact there is a bit of truth in this concept, but it doesn't really go a long way into help clear up the details and actually making it applicable. Because what stimulus do we need to change, and how do we quantify a regular basis? So let's take them one at a time, shall we, team? So let's start with stimulus. A lot of people might think that this actually means the movement pattern that you're working. So some people switch this out and go from bench press, as an example, to an overhead press, or from pull-ups to some kind of heavy weighted row variation. Or they do even less than that and pretty much stick to exactly the same movement pattern but go from a flat barbell bench press to flat dumbbell bench. I don't think either of these are actually going to do the trick, and this is why. The human body doesn't really give a shit what you're lifting and with what implement. To truly give the body a reset, as it says above, it's the stimulus that needs to change. And the closest synonym that I can think of in this paradigm of training is intensity. So we want to change the stimulus. To avoid the law of accommodation, we need to change the intensity. How do we do this? Well, let's look at the four main training variables within a session. We've got our reps, so the number of reps you're doing per set. You've got the number of sets. You've got the rest interval between each set. And then you've got the tempo, so basically the speed each part of the rep is performed at. Of the four that I've just given you, the main thing that is going to dictate intensity is the rep scheme. This will be the closest variable linked to intensity and stimulus. Which kind of makes sense if you think about it, right? The intensity physically dictates how many reps you can perform with a given weight. But what does this look like and how much do we change it by? Check this out. Guys, if you are absolutely balls deep in a proper program that lasts anywhere between 8 and 12 weeks, once that program is then finished, to avoid the law of accommodation, again, with that, the massive diminishing returns of the hard work that you're putting in, take some time off at the end of the program often being a heavy test week, and do about 2 whole weeks of a completely change of stimulus. If the main program that you're doing is quite low reps, go high, and vice versa. As an example, if the program is primarily strength-based, I say primarily because a good program will always have a bit of an alchemy of everything, right? I would spend 2 whole weeks at the end of this 12-week block doing primarily high rep hypertrophy stuff. So like 15s to 20s. 90% of your work could be around that rep range. This will not mean that you lose the strength gains that you just worked so hard for over the last 3 months in that program. It just means that your joints will have a bit of a break. It'll allow your CNS, your central nervous system, to really spend some time recovering. It'll help you build some muscle in the meantime, which obviously doesn't directly link to strength, but it does offer kind of more capability and potential for strength. It will do wonders for growth hormone production if you're doing sets of 15 to 20 with only kind of 90 seconds between. And finally, and most importantly and relevant to today, it will give your body the stimulus reset it needs so that the next 12-week block after that 2-week kind of hiatus from strength stuff, you're actually kind of getting all the benefits and all the adaptations that you want from that program. Winner, winner, right? And conversely, guys, if you are spending your life in the first class carriage on the train to Bulk City smashing sets of between 15 and 20 most of the time. Why not mix it up and do some heavy work? Say start around like sets of about 6 reps and then start to ladder down from there all the way down to say heavy 2s or 3s. Maybe go a bit heavier and do some eccentric work, maybe with kind of a 4-second eccentric tempo on the downward portion of every lift. There are a few different things we can do to change the stimulus, guys. Again, this is something that we know needs to be done fairly regularly, but with a main focus, if you kind of visualize it or reference it like this, you are sliding your way up or down the rep scheme. Basically, if you look at it like that and slide either up or down that rep scale, you can't go too far wrong. But I will say this, it does involve option 2. If you are not following a nice kind of, comprehensive, all-inclusive alchemic program, if you're spending about 80% of your training time on a particular rep range, that is a massive portion, that is a massive dominance of your training program being around that rep range. I wouldn't wait 8 to 12 weeks before breaking and giving your body that stimulus reset and then doing it for 2 weeks. I'd chop both in half. I'd train for about 5 to 6 weeks around this rep range and then break for 1 week. If 80% of your program is 5x5, you're going to get used to this rep scheme so quickly that you need to take a break from it more often to give yourself that reset and avoid the law of accommodation so that you can then jump back in more regularly and then start getting good results and good adaptations from your training again. So if you're on 5x5, do that for between 4 and 6 weeks. And then take 7 to 10 days off where you're doing between 15s and 20s just to give your body that reset. And conversely, if you're at the higher end where you're doing between 15 and 20 reps per set for pretty much all of your training, do that for between 4 and 6 weeks. Then take 7 to 10 days where you then ladder it down and then you're doing some heavy stuff. Go heavier, do some eccentric tempo, maybe throw some pauses in there. Again, wherever you are, whether or not you're lower reps on the rep scheme or higher reps, spend the majority of the time doing the stuff that you want. But then every now and again, switch it, throw it around, and that's what just gives everything that reset that is so fundamentally needed to then, when you then springboard back, you get the results that you want. This is a hugely underrated and underspoken about and under-executed strategy of just giving your body the reset that it needs to make sure that, again, once you go into the next phase, you're actually getting the adaptations that you want, as opposed to just putting in all that flipping hard work on that 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th training cycle to just tread water and basically stay in the same place. And this is the way that you've got to look at it, team. Remember, the gym does not directly make you stronger. It actually makes you weaker. It physically breaks down your bodily systems and your tissues. But what it does do is it provides your body the stimulus to grow and to adapt. And not only compensate for the damage that you've done to it, but overcompensate. This is how we get bigger and stronger and fitter, right? We go to the gym, we do some bicep curls, and we snap 50 muscle fibers. Our body then doesn't regrow those 50, it regrows 75. That is the overcompensation effect and the kind of the overcorrection of rebuilding that we love so much and adds to muscle growth and is the foundation of growing muscle. Random numbers for the purpose of example only, don't quote me on that. But we have to remember that these adaptations, most adaptations, take place more effectively and more efficiently in a good quality environment of rest. That's why creating a restful environment in our day-to-day life is so flipping important. Minimizing chronic stresses in the form of crap work, crap food, crap people, and maximizing all of the good appropriations of the above is so crucial. To do what we do best on this channel, which is to summarize this stuff and make it applicable, if you are following a program that does a little bit of everything but has a particular focus, a primary focus and a bias towards a certain rep range, follow this wholeheartedly for around about 8 to 12 weeks and then spend a full 2 weeks working primarily, and when I say primarily, I mean 80 to 90% plus of your rep range at a completely different rep range, giving your body a completely different stimulus. And if you're currently self-programming or spending your time doing a program that has 80% of its total work, so again, a more than heavy bias, I'd say 80% of its total number of sets, plus at a certain rep range, at a certain stimulus, by far the vast majority of your volume, then you need to reset from this stimulus more frequently. So don't do it for 8 to 12 weeks, do it for between 4 and 6 weeks, but then you can have between 1 week and kind of 10 days off, where you effectively do the same thing and give it a completely different stimulus during that 10-day period. In this paradigm, you need to break and reset more frequently, but you don't need to break and reset for as long if you're doing it more frequently. Guys, the law of accommodation is very real and not something that we can beat or ignore or just stick our head in the sand with. If you are anything like me, you will find it very emotionally devastating to think that you are genuinely digging out blind in the gym, putting in an incredible amount of effort day in, day out, week in, week out, but have the adaptations from your session, the actual benefits from the work that you put in, massively decreased. So let's avoid this. Following the science, hacking the system, not beating it because I believe that you can't do this, but working with it to ensure that every session does what it's supposed to do and puts us in a physiological state of getting better. Yes team, another video in the bag. Thank you for tuning in on this one. If you are new here and this is one of your first ones, great to see you. Thanks for spending your time with us today and I really hope you got some value from it. And if you've been here for a while and you're an OG veteran of the Jim Galvin channel, thank you too. We are steadily growing, which I'm super happy and excited about. We could not have done that without you guys watching these videos regularly. So if this is your first video of mine or your 50th, I love you both equally. You are amazing. Thank you for supporting the channel. I am going to shamelessly, however, ask you guys for an absolutely massive favor now and share this video or one of your favorites from this channel with either a friend or family member that you think would enjoy it and get value from it. I would be incredibly grateful, and genuinely with a channel of this size at the moment, you have no idea how helpful it is to boost the algorithms, and it really helps me grow and the channel grow, which is absolutely the main priority of my life right now. Really appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much. And until next time, beautiful people, stay strong, stay healthy, stay awesome, and I'll see you in the next one.